Hi, this is Victoria Moon. This is Module TD230, the archive project. This project appealed to me the most after the last project. I touched a bit on archive and I found it really exciting. So I wanted to try this project out and see where it took me. So we was given an album in the archive. Well, we was given a few different projects we could work on, and the one that appealed to me the most was the Rockfield album. Basically, it was just an album, an old album, with just pictures of people. There were black and white photographs. The pictures I just had headings. Not much is known where the album came from or who it belongs to. It's believed to have been found in a drawer at the Institute of Cornish Studies. It came to Falmouth around 2008. So the album consists of images of mines around Cornwall. So maybe that's why the Institute inherited the album, because of the mining link. There's also images of many destinations, mainly in Europe. Images of significant landmarks such as Pompeii, Venice, Rome, Athens, Naples, Capri. There's a few pictures of the house, a very elegant house, which is named Rockfield. I think there's 2 pictures of that, and one picture of the big drawing room, which looks very elegant. Let's look. As well as looking into the album, I wanted to look into about what the archive is and the collections and the historical documents that provide information for us. Falmouth Archive is there to support the course for a broad range of materials, artefacts which are stored in steel wall vaults, in boxes, acid-free packaging. The temperature has to be a certain temperature. That's very important for the humidity to protect all the items. On the album, there was lots of this, as you can see, which I've created on my paper, like speckled, orangey yellow, speckled, which is called foxing. It's an age-related process, deterioration. It causes spots and browning on old paper documents such as books. To visit the archive, you do have to book appointments or time slots to view items and to handle these books and these old artefacts. You do need to wear gloves and placed on a cushion. It's all to protect, you know, the surfaces of the items so they don't degrade. I did a few visits to the archive. The first visit was I went to collect the images for the investigation and get some clues. Because for this book, when I first looked at it, there's no evidence of whose book it was, where it came from. All there were pictures with names underneath, and there were no names as such, just initials of names. But the aim of the brief is to showcase the conceptual and creative potential of the archive resources and to promote awareness of the service and the collections held, giving some of the less known collections greater exposure, such as this album, Rockfield album. It's a bit of a mystery really, so I wanted to start by investigating the images, looking at places and dates and the people to try to make a connection and bring the album to life really, and to give it a story to use in the archive resources, to go on to using what I have found to design and develop and produce a collection of textiles in my findings. So I just started off documenting all the images that were in the book. That's the album. Like images of Cornwall, pilchards at St Ives, Cornishman train in Truro. So then it like got me thinking, you know, does this album belong to a Cornishman? And there's a man there dressed in a safari outfit. His initials underneath, RHG. There's lots of images of mining, East Pool, which is in Cornwall, King Edward, which is also in Cornwall, pictures of machinery, and the mining places, yeah, East Pool, some in Redruth, Cornish mines again. So it got me thinking, what is this guy who owned this album? Was he a miner himself? But then I thought, well, if that was his house, I don't think he'd be an actual miner. If he had that house, he had lots of money. And I was thinking maybe he owned the mines. He did lots of voyages to Europe. Maiden voyage as well, the Oceanic, RMS Oceanic. Pictures of Cambridge. I was like, whoa, did he live in Cambridge? What's the connection with Cornwall? Wonder where he was going on these ships and why. Obviously he was going to Europe because what the pictures, and did they tally up to his journey? He even travelled on the RMS Australia. There's no pictures of actual Australia, but maybe he was on the way to Australia and stopping off at Europe. Lots of pictures of rocks. Gibraltar Rock. And stones and ruins. Seem to like that. Pictures of Capri, Naples, Athens. Lots of stone ruins. Lots of pictures of yeah, Ireland, and was trying to figure out, is there an Irish connection? And Shrewsbury, you like Shrewsbury. And then I can see there Shrewsbury geologist. So then I got thinking, is he a geologist? Because there's lots of stone ruins that he likes to take photos of Earth. Rome, St Mark's, Venice, West Africa. Oh yeah, we had some dates on some photographs and some people, which I think would be his family. Taking pictures like that, I think they would be in that era, like 1899 as a group photo. Definitely would have been his family. And there's another picture there of a Rockfield house from afar. And the same initial keeps coming up, RHG. RHG. This is RHG. This is him. And he does appear in many photographs, also dressed as like a miner. So yeah, I started researching the name Rockfield House. There was a few Rockfield House in the UK and in Ireland. I was trying to compare the photographs to the photograph we have in the album. That was one in Ireland. It got knocked down though. It was 1920. And then there was one in Somerset. And I thought, oh, is this the Cornish connection? Somerset? Could this be the Cornwall connection? So I did some more research in Nunney, Somerset, and stumbled across the Rockfield in Somerset, which was connected to, well, I found an article actually, Rudyard Kipling article, which one of his books were published at Rockfield House. So then I did some research on Rudyard Kipling. So I've got his picture up and I was thinking, does he look the same? Is it the same guy? It's high HG. I mean, he does, there is some similarities. And I got really excited. The whole journey was exciting just to investigate, and one little piece of information led to another piece of information, and then the story was building up, and I got really excited to think it might have been Rudyard Kipling. Imagine finding an old lost album of Rudyard Kipling. He's such an iconic character in the novelist world, journalist world. I got really excited, and then so I started started studying Rudyard Kipling, brought down his life, and in a timeline really, and the timeline seemed to fit the images in the album. His voyages, Rudyard Kipling, he did a lot of sea voyages to South Africa, New Zealand. There was images of West Africa in the album. Oh yes, and then he moved to Devon, and he lived in a house called Rock House. So it got me thinking, did he just shorten it? And it was all this near enough on the same timeline, which was really exciting. Thinking this album could belong to Rudyard. Images of multiple countries, yeah, multiple countries which he'd been to. He also had Woodyard also had an Irish connection. He was involved in the, he was friends with Edward Carson, the leader of the Ulster Unionism. So I was thinking maybe that's where the Irish connection were. By this time, yeah, I finished that, and I felt like I needed another visit to the archive. So I started documenting my observations, what I found so far in the book. Silly that he likes to travel. In this area, he must have money. Yeah, Rockfield House is elegant. Whoever owned this house did have a bit of cash. The connections to Ireland, Shrewsbury and Cornwall. They are involved in mining, maybe a geologist. I don't think wealthy people would have been miners. Images abroad of buildings, rock, such as Gibraltar Rock, Pompeii, temple ruins. It's definitely to do with mining. The mining images have a lot of machinery in the pictures. Could they be the owners of the machinery? Oh, there were lots of initials. Obviously they were names. If we could just get the name, be able to find out who it is from there. Oh yeah, this was Rudyard's house, Rock House in Somerset. I was trying to compare it to our Rockfield, but it's not the same. So then I felt like I needed another visit to the archive, second visit. Look closer at the images. Is there something I missed? And then she said Carol suggested I'd maybe peel some of the images back, see if there's anything on the back. And there it was. His last name, George Hagan. H. George Hagan. I knew it was him. IHG, the initials, in the album, all the way through the album. Really exciting to find a last name or even a name, because you're searching for this owner, this character. You start building up this character in your mind of who it could be, what he's like, how he travelled, what his life must have been like when he was travelling them, in the late 1890s. I researched George Egan and typed in Rockfield, and found his information. He came up straight away. I couldn't believe it. Just that little vital bit of information that I managed to get, and I found the owner of the book, and it belonged to Robert Hugh George Egan. He lived at Rockfield, Blackrock in Dublin, which is Ireland, which is an Irish connection. He went to school in Shrewsbury. So that was the Shrewsbury connection. He's done his diploma at Camborne School of Mines, so he's involved in mining, and the Cornwall connection. Engaged in mining engineering. Visited various countries. And then he died in London in 1946. So it was really exciting. But also a dull moment as well, that I'd found him and like, so I wanted to confirm, I wanted to confirm the house, so I googled the Rockfield, and it was still standing, and it belonged to the Irish Heritage, Architectural Heritage, so I emailed them to try and confirm if it was the house. I got a reply. Dear Victoria, thank you for getting in touch and bringing these fascinating photographs to our attention. I can confirm that the house in the photograph is Rockfield House in Newton Park Avenue, Dublin, which we recorded as part of an ongoing natural inventory of architectural heritage. It's fantastic. The view in the photograph is the garden or south front, and much of the detail has been lost in recent years, including the glass house, the balconette and the pictured roof. The windows have also been replaced with UPVC fittings. It was fantastic moment. So I did a bit of research on the house. It turns, yeah, the Rockfield house is still standing. It's yeah. So yeah, his dad, who was Robert Hugh George Egan. Oh no, sorry. His dad was William. His mother Frances. So all these initials match to the initials in the album. FAP and WPG. His father William was a head brewer of the Guinness factory. A job he was given by his uncle John Percy, who was a partner of Arthur Guinness. Fantastic history. William went on to be the chief engineer at Guinness, who came up with the idea of a gauge system that linked Guinness to the broader Irish Rail. They moved into Rockfield House in 1881, where William resided until 1930. Rockfield House provided medical services during the First World War. William George Egan turned over part of the house for the use of the wounded invalid soldiers. In the 1950s, the Sisters of Mercy set up a female psychiatric hospital in the house and called it Clwyd Mahar. By 1995, Clwyd Mahar was providing these services to both children and adults, and it still provides these services today.